Stacy from AmperBloom. Today we're going to do something really cool. We're going to talk about coffee, but not just making and brewing your cup, but check out our coffee tree and all these cherries that we're ready to pick. And we can either roast them. I'll give them to my husband, see if he can roast some of these guys. And then we'll plant some and we'll grow our own new little coffee trees. It's super exciting. I can't wait to show you how to do this. Okay, the first step is getting the cherries off of the tree. So inside of each of these cherries are 2 coffee beans. I'm gonna take some of these off, and you have to twist it carefully. And if you think about, that was me getting 2 coffee beans off of this tree. And this is exactly what they do in coffee farms. They have to twist each of these off by hand because they're too delicate to use a machine to get these off. So we have to take each of these off by hand, and inside is only 2 beans. So you can think about how much work goes into every cup of coffee that you have. So your morning cup is more than just the work of the barista that's making the coffee. It also is the person who's picking the beans, the cherries off of the tree right from the start. So here are some of our cherries. And I'll show you what the next step is. I'm gonna get these all off of the tree, and I'll show you what our next step is. Okay, so I've gotten all of the cherries off of the coffee tree. This is the harvest that it gave me, probably 30 or so cherries. I'm guesstimating maybe 40, don't know. But I wanted to show you one of these as well that still had the blossom on it. Usually before the cherries form, they'll throw a bunch of flowers. This is white before it dies off, and then at the base of the flower, the cherry forms. And so the whole coffee tree will just be full of blossoms everywhere that one of these cherries is going to form. And then in about 2 or 3 weeks, then a cherry forms. And then I just have to wait for them to become pink or red so that I know that they're ready to harvest. So the next step is to take all of these cherries, and gently squeeze them. And you'll see there's one cherry, there's another. So there are both of the coffee seeds, the coffee beans, and then here's the cherry that is just now discarded. So I'll do that with all of these cherries. Just squeeze them into here. There should be, again, 2 coffee beans in each cherry. So I just took the time to squeeze 4 of these, and here are my 8 beans right now. So I'll finish up, and then I'll come back to you with the next step after we take all of these coffee beans out of the cherries. Okay, so I've taken all of the coffee beans out of the cherries, and this is what's left. So here are the coffee beans, and then here are the leftover cherries. Whoops. And you can actually make tea out of the cherries. I think it's called Cascara tea. It's really sweet. But now these coffee beans are not quite ready to do anything with. They're sitting in this really slimy coating, like a gel kind of. I don't know if you can see that. But you can see that like gel outside of the bean. So I need to take these and put them into water, and I'll soak them for 24 hours. And what will happen is the rest of the cherry will come off of the bean, and some of them will float and some of them will sink. And the cherries that sink are going to be viable, and the ones that float are not going to turn into any growth. They won't have any growth on them. So I already have a couple that are floating here. Well, I'll show you. Hold on, I'll show you. So when I put them in the water, there's just a couple that float, one that's floating, and then through the course of the day, the 24 hours that I keep them in there, more of them will float as well. But these are the ones that, so that for sure is one that won't make it. And the rest, hopefully a good amount of them will. So I already have 2 of these seeds that I've had soaking, and these are both sinking to the bottom. So these are viable seeds, which means these can turn into potential coffee trees. So here are the seeds when they've finished soaking, if you can see it. And so I will take these, and I've prepared cocoa coir and then worm castings and a little bit of perlite just for a tiny bit of drainage. But coffee is one plant that does not want to dry out. It dries out very, very quickly, and it will not recover. I've had it happen that some of these coffee beans don't make it just because they've just dried out too much. So once they dry out, it's pretty much finished. It's a done deal, which is really a bummer. So I planted these guys in here. It doesn't really matter which way you plant them. The leaves will grow up and the roots will grow down on their own, just like most seeds that you plant. They just kind of go with the way that they know how to grow. And then after about a year, your coffee beans will turn into this coffee tree. So I've had a couple of these that grew in one pot, so I just separated them. So I have each tree in a pot like this. And pretty soon, in about 7 or 8 years, if you take good care of it, you'll have a coffee tree like this, which will produce its own coffee. And you can choose to either roast it or make yourself some more coffee trees, whatever you want to do. But it's been really fun to watch this tree just give blooms and then cherries over and over again. It loses a lot of leaves in the winter because it's not getting quite as much sun, but it does still give me a good harvest of cherries, which is really fun. The tree behind me is about 7 years old and 7 feet tall, so it's super possible for you to take a little seedling tree like this and get this huge tree in your home. It fruits a few times a year, maybe 3 or 4, and it's really fun to see the cherries and turn them into coffee, either a plant or coffee that you can brew. And if you have any questions about the medium that I use in the soil or the light or humidity, or any questions that you have about this coffee tree, feel free to put a comment down below and I'll answer them as I can. If you want to subscribe and like this channel, I'd love to share more about what I know about plants. And I hope that you guys are having a great day. Thanks so much for joining me for a little bit of time learning about coffee. Okay, bye.